speaking of appearance, our next guest is someone that I've seen change and grow over these many years, and literally his appearance has changed. This poet is someone that I met when I was actually taking my forays into slam poetry. Like I said, when I started doing poetry, it was just a way for me to express myself in writing, to organize my thoughts. It wasn't until I was in college, really, that I found out that there was a slam poetry scene where people weren't only writing poems, but they were expressing them. And not only just were they expressing themselves, they were using it as a medium for performance, and people digged it. So that's dig it. Yeah, I apologize, but you get it. You know what I'm saying? And this next guest,
extraordinary.
yeah, see, I fly, whatever. Anyways, without any further ado, I'm gonna bring on my homie D.Ruff.
Oh, not D.Ruff!
Hey, what's happening? My man.
What's going on? How you guys doing?
Yeah.
I know, right? I didn't even know you cut your hair. Like, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, there's a story there. But oh my God, what's up, family? I don't know if
Hey,
you know, but we know each other. That's fam right there. That's awesome.
for real.
Connect.
Oh man. So as usual, I gotta big you up because you're on the screen, and that's one of the things I do. So my buddy D.Ruff, I'll never forget it. The first time, so there is a really amazing poet in the Boston slam scene. I don't know if she poetizes anymore as she used to. Her name is Melissa Green, an amazing poet. And, I had the opportunity to roll with her to a couple shows when she was slamming really heavy in Boston, and we went to, what was the name of the spot that's now the Cuba place? It's right on Mass Ave.
Verve Lounge.
Verve. Okay, yeah. So there's a restaurant that used to be called Verve Lounge, and they would have us poetry slam. I think it was Wednesdays or something. And Melissa, she was going there all the time, and so we went together. And she's like, "Oh, this dude that's going on right now, he's nice. Pay attention." I'm like, "All right, word." He had like these short little dreads, had this oversized striped shirt, and I'm like, "All right, word. Skinny dude doing his thing." Now, I say skinny because that was also part of his thing. I'm not body shaming. It's fine. You know what I mean? We've all been, a little on the thinner side, and that's cool. And so, as I was told, I sat down and I shut up and I listened. I was like, "Yo, Melissa, he's nice." So, ladies and gentlemen, shout outs to D.Ruff. So, D, tell the people your story. Tell them where you are, where you from, and all that.
All right, so I am D.Ruff, poet born and raised out of Roxbury, Massachusetts. I've been doing this poetry shit since first grade. I am currently in that, like, I am co-host of an open mic called the If You Can Feel It, You Can Speak It open mic, and we've been up and running for almost 11 years now. November will be our 11-year anniversary. Wow. So now, like, since the pandemic, of course, like, everything has kind of changed up. So we had to switch formats and be virtual. So we do things like every Thursday. So I'm actually coming from my open mic to y'all right now. So, like, this is really dope. So so man.
The funniest thing is, like, I remember, so for those of you guys who don't know, I'm a photographer. I've been doing photography for over a decade. One of the places that I used to, or one of the arenas that I used to do a lot of my photography was in the event space. So clubs, concert, nightlife, you name it. And there was one organizer. Her name was Alaska Boston. Shout outs to Ola.
Yeah, exactly. Still doing big things too.
Yeah, she's one of those people that was like, "I'm gonna keep it quiet, but when you see me, you're gonna see me." So definitely shout outs to Ola. I'm gonna make sure we give her a shout out during our third shift. But I remember she had an event, and we were both attending that event. And like, "Hey, yo, Lemire, so I don't know how it's gonna work out, but there's this event, It's a spoken word event that they kind of want me to co-host. Here's the flyer. I haven't done it yet, but like, yo, are you available to take pictures? I wasn't because the schedule was busy, but I was like, all right, cool. I disappeared from the scene for a good 3 years. I come back, and it's like, well, man, how you do? So for those of you guys
Yeah.
who have never attended the If You Can Feel It, You Can Speak It open mic, it is a great inclusive space, safe space where you can go speak your truth. You can feel welcomed. You can feel encouraged. You can feel empowered. So D, before we get off, either now or later, make sure you give me all the info because I want to shout you guys out and point people your way. So
Definitely will. And yeah, man. It's so that yeah, that's been my journey. I mean, my journey is definitely longer. Father definitely wrote my book and was an author of Saying on 94, Tales from a Misguided Soul when it was on like Amazon and all that other stuff. Um I have little projects here and there that are going to end up coming out soon that I'm really excited about. And I'm creative director of Boston Pulse Poetry, which is a program that I do with mostly centered around like teenagers and those in from middle school to high school, really teaching them, or not even teaching them, really mentoring them around spoken word and really finding their voice. And if it isn't through spoken word, then we find out what that art is to help amplify their voice and whatever that is. So like that's what pretty much I've been doing
cool.
for a while.
Very cool. Very cool.
Nope.
Sherry, you got anything for Mr. D?
No, I got a question, but I would love to hear your piece first. My my question, just to give you a sense of it, and the reason why I'm asking is because I've been to your event so many times, like a lot, and I loved it. And one of the things that I experience when I try to invite folks into poetry space is that they have a lot of anxiety. And
Mhm.
I imagine that you've managed that and experienced that a bunch. And so my question, and I'm at the edge of my seat to hear your piece, right? But my question is, what do you kind of tell folks when they're trying to figure out how to show up in an open mic space so that they can feel comfortable? Because it's different. It definitely is. There's a culture, and for people that don't know, how can they get with the program?
Fair. Um, so do you want me to do my piece first, or do you want me to answer first?
I think it's up to you. You can decide.
Cause like okay, cause then it'll lead into the I guess
Hmm.
it'll kind of lead into the piece. Hey, so when when doing this, and I've done workshops with adults as well, when telling adults to write in general, or at least start writing, um, one of the major things that I say is don't write as if you're writing for someone, because you're not. You're just doing this for yourself. It's for your eyes, it's for your heart, it's for your ears, it's for your being. So what are you hiding from? Like,
Mm,
if you can't write for you and your eyes, then who are you really hiding from? And then after that, like, it's like, is this particular piece something that you want to present to the world? If it's not, that is perfectly all right. That is also okay. You don't have to do that. And that's why I really enjoy, and I'm really blessed to have the space that I've been given, because then with the Feel It Speak It mic and the community and the movement, we've said people told people, you don't have to be an artist to come bless our space. You can literally come up there for 4 or 5 minutes, talk about your day, and everybody will listen. Everybody will
that's
give
dope.
you the love and give you this respect. Like, you don't have to present, like, in that usually starts that motor, because for some reason, no matter what, once you get on that stage, and people receive you, like, and genuinely receive you, that's a different buzz than actually trying to go up there and impress people. If you're not going up there to impress anybody, and you just want to vent to a group of folks that know that love and will appreciate you and will give you that upliftment later on, like, it's a different buzz. So that's what usually starts what I call the gateway. It's usually the gateway drug, like, haha. you're in there now. Now you got the now you know how it feels to be on the stage and get the love and da 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 da. So that's usually how I present it to folks whenever going on to the mic.
No, thank you. That's real. And I didn't know that this was going to be a segue, but here we are.
See, so this piece, I've been really working on this piece as of recently now. So just work with me, people. This is new.
Listen,
Uh,
ladies and gentlemen, for all of my nocturnals, third shifters, and people who otherwise should be sleeping at 1:13 in the morning, what do I always say? This is an experiment. Nothing fancy here. Okay, this is a safe space. I don't give trigger warnings because of the Second Amendment, but you can still feel safe to do your thing. All right. The only thing I'm going to say is give me a second so I can check the mic so I can make sure you got your space.
there you go. Fair enough.
And for those of you guys that are just tuning in, it's the If You Stream It, They Will Come podcast. Tonight's topic is poetry. And we got our main man, D.Ruff, getting ready to spit his truth. So we're going to set up the mic. Sherry, I'm going to mute you out a little bit. And then D, once I get off the screen, you are good to go. All right. And D.Ruff, we're going to have you.
All right. So usually in between my pieces, so that way it's not that long, awkward, poetic silence. Uh, Whenever I say if you can feel it, I would love for you guys to reply back, you can speak it, and say it one that slowly because there might be an echo where y'all are at. And two, say it like y'all mean it because why not, right? Um, I will give like somewhat of a warning because like I know it's late hours, but it's just natural to me to do so. Um, for those, this piece is going to deal with a lot of black trauma, a lot of black death, rape, and a lot of the current events that are happening now. So, in case you guys do want to step away, need you catch yourself, collect yourself before you embrace yourself for this piece. Definitely give yourself some time. Wait a second. All right. So, if you can feel it, okay. And here we are again, 150 days since Breonna Taylor was murdered. A black female EMT worker and aspiring nurse who was sleeping with her boyfriend Kenneth when they soon heard a loud bang and soon were assaulted. Kenneth, after firing a warning shot at whom he believed were intruders, was injured, and Brianna killed in her home, and the officers of this botched raid roam free. And the NFL, the nation, expects black men to sing and be full of faith, expects black children to sing death and black mothers to be full of grace, sing and centralize the narrative how pacified a black uprising and forget black women still have a fight. Exhaust our energy because how else can white America douse a revolution's fire? They thought painting over a bloody street can please the pleading hands and be retribution for slaying Sandra Bland in their custody, have us clap, rap, and cheer at new laws named after our brutalized queens who while their assailants roam free. We need to be more Kenneth, demand and defend, amplify their voices without taking their spotlight, believe black women, and stop waiting to be admired. Because black women have fought alone, having to decide between being killed, revealing the truth, or died to keep it concealed, either calling out names or being called out of their name. And we haven't been shit masquerading as safety, family, friends, professionals, as promoters, photographers, artists, taking advantage of vulnerability and beauty, using status to discredit facts and putting out work to cover our tracks. 19-year-old Toyin told Twitter her rate. It was killed the same day by a black man who should have been more Kenneth and less officer. Because yes, Black men, we're going through struggles unimaginable. And these Black women have loved us furiously, rose their voices fearlessly, yet we are quick to police their cries and our undertones. We've been tone deaf too. Why don't you call the police or call him out? We'll say, you're being too dramatic. What were you wearing? What ass pussy got one woman shot and the other cheated on will cry, reply, retort, troll, hey ma, you're more beautiful when you smile. Does it sound familiar? How toxicity can speak with the same diction, how the condescension can reek of recycling trauma that we got to deal with because the blood we're treading along our weary feet is leading footprints back to those white businesses. So that's why they send out support, send out those condolences and I'm sorry's, like emails and DMs, and like these laws. They address the tears, but not the reasons they were shed, pulling ways to blame victims and justify misogyny that the Black men keep. And then the NBA has the nerves to suggest what's appropriate to say. Even when Black men try, standing together is only appropriate to be seen when the white bottom line benefits. So we must lift every Black voice and say, arrest the murderers of Breonna Taylor, Ryan Milton, and the countless women and Black women and trans gone too soon, yet received justice too late. These aren't prayers to your oppressive gods. We're calling for our warriors, our ancestors fight to give us some light and give us some insight and give us might, because elite white America expects songs full of hope, full of faith. But that's not true to our ancestors, our bloody footprints, or our native lands, where we have to return the ghost of our dead days, months, even years after receiving retribution, just so we can sing, lift every voice and sing. If you can feel it, you can speak it.
You can speak it. Shout out to the man, D.Ruff. What's
What a blessing. Thank you.
my man?
Thank you so much.
I take it. I take it. I take it. I take it.
You.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's about the times and stuff like that. I've been seeing, listening in on y'all's conversation about poetry and how, you know, different things and how it's a super ability, and it is. It's definitely hi. It's definitely a super ability. It's definitely a super talent, and I definitely I guess I can speak to, I guess, the humbleness of it when I don't realize how much of a superpower it is. Um, I've always been able to write something. Sometimes I've been able to write at a drop of a hat. Now that I'm older, it's not that easy anymore. Um, but like, that there is a skill, and being able to memorize it and then bring all the feeling out and be able to hone all those emotions in a certain set, for a certain time, to be vulnerable constantly, is a superpower. So like, thank you for definitely mentioning that, and I definitely want to share that sentiment as well with all artists, because we are able to turn to really bust break diamonds out of rocks, because we're definitely given a lot of difficult situations and a lot of walls that we have to climb and a lot of obstacles that we have to overcome, and through our art we're always able to shine what growth and what that experience is at the end of the day, and to be able to hone all of that is a beautiful thing. So to all my creators, all my entrepreneurs, all my artists, yo, I love you guys, and I really appreciate you guys for continuing to provide a space, especially in the times that we're in. I know it's difficult because we all need something to lean on. Um, but to be able to lean on each other, to be able to provide space for people to lean on each other and know that they're not alone, like, thank you. And yeah,
That's
Yo,
right.
D,
my
I
two
got
cents.
one. I just got one more burning question for you. It's
Yeah.
burning. So my one thing that I really appreciated about your piece and just about you in general is the way that you center some of the world's historically excluded um, people. And those people are Black women. Sometimes it could be members of the migrant community. In your most recent piece, you talked about trans women, Black trans women, right? If you want to talk about folks that experience the most barriers, right, on Earth, these are some of the examples. And one thing that I find when we start talking about art is that we as a people, as a society, right, we're evolving, we're growing. And as individuals, when we start to step into these topics and start to challenge our own beliefs and then bring them into public space, there's a moment that could result in harm. Before you offered your piece, you gave a warning. You said, look, this is what I'm going to talk about, and if you need to step away, please do so. I really appreciate that. Thank you for modeling. But my question is, how do you coach poets or yourself even when there's something that happens that doesn't go right, it goes wrong? And by go wrong, I mean someone may express something that does cause harm, even if they gave that warning at the beginning. And I wonder what you offer to folks that are evolving and growing and trying to manage that, because I think that's a fear that a lot of people have. And I imagine that you've had that conversation before, and I wonder if you have any advice for folks out there that are thinking about that.
Um, this is I love my space for this. So one of the things at the mic that we say is we always say that we're a working space, right? Because we can't because safety is relative. We can't necessarily guarantee safety even in this virtual world because people like to, Zoom bomb and all this other stuff, right? So like we say that we're a working space, and with that we say that we are a working community that is trying to make sure that everybody is included, everybody's voice is heard, everybody's concerns are listened to and definitely taken into consideration and definitely spoken on. So with that, that's one of the things that I also say, that you make sure that the space that you're going to is a space that you feel safe in, and at the same time make sure your piece isn't one of those assaultive pieces, because we have those, right? We have those angry moments where we're just like fuck you and everything that you're about, and like everybody feels those, right? But you don't want to go into spaces where you know that giving this isn't giving something to this community, it's actually taking away from something. You know what I'm saying? Like you're giving anger, you're giving something negative that you don't want to necessarily bring into this space of
For
healing.
sure.
So when I say to people, I'm like, yes, definitely bring certain pieces, have certain pieces with friends, with family, um, and artistic friends as well. Because like, yes, close friends and family will definitely give you the utmost honesty, but there are also some favoritism there. Like they'll definitely give you a little bias, like, oh baby, that was great. Knowing in your heart, like something's wrong. Like I need some definite feedback, constructive
Yeah.
feedback on this. So that's what I tell people. Definitely go to spaces and to people that you trust and you love, and that have also shown you that they can give you what it is that you need. Not so much what you want, but really what it is that you need in order to progress and move forward what it is that with the message that it is that you want to present.
Yeah.
Um, because there is a it's it's taken me a while to find ways to actually artistically argue points without, one, feeling like I'm excluding anybody, or two, making it sound like my trauma trumps everybody else's.
Yeah.
Because that's not fair, that's not true. And so to make sure that everybody's voices is heard, or at least making sure that the voices that I am hearing are feeling heard, I just do my best to bring up a conversation. And then after that, if anybody wants to talk to me afterwards, I'll talk to you guys off stage, outside, and that's really how the conversations have been. Nothing violent has ever happened or transpired. Um, People have always had conversations in our space whenever that has come up, when people have felt offended, or there was a something that was taken the wrong way, or there was a miscommunication, or tone, whatever it was, there was always a conversation about it that then led to a lesson down the road. So that's always how it's been at the mic. So I've definitely always appreciated that.
Yeah, I'm part of what I'm hearing you say too is, there's an opportunity for like workshopping, and people should do that, right? Like getting on the stage and being vulnerable is an invitation, and it's wonderful and it's sacred, and it's okay to workshop before you get there, right? And I think the second thing that I'm really taking away from what you're saying is something about consent, right?
Hmm.
There's consent to being in the space, but there's also making sure that you have the consent of others, right? To move certain ways. And then again, that workshopping comes back. There's work to do here. If you're going to be in this space, challenging these things in this way, and you want to do it publicly, it's one thing to write in your journal and keep it at home. It's another thing to be in space with community, even if it's vulnerable. So D, thank you for your thoughts, man. I so appreciate it.
Thank you guys for the space and
Man,
this is awesome. This has been like incredible. This is great
yes.
to see some familiar faces and
Oh
be up
man.
here all nocturnal and whatnot.
Hey, listen, we're gonna be here Mondays, and well, technically it's kind of Sunday into Monday and Thursday into Fridays. From we might experiment doing a 12:30 to 2:30 because I mean apparently people sleep because that's a thing that people do.
You
But
know,
we'll give you all the details for all the social media. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna get into our third shift shoutouts because y'all know I love giving love. Then we're gonna have Miss Anna back on, have D on, have a little chit chat about some funny poetry things. One of our listeners is a little bashful, so I'm gonna read one of her pieces. I'll do one of my pieces, and then we out. But until then, yeah.
yeah.
Until then, jam out to some music with the lo-fi. I'll handle some business, and then we'll be back. And for those of you guys just tuning in, it's the If You Stream It, They Will Come podcast. We're streaming it, and you're here because you got nothing better else to do. But that's cool. We still love it.